For more analysis on 2024, joining me now is Niall Stanage, White House correspondent from our partners at The Hill, and NewsNation political and economic contributor Mick Mulvaney. Niall, key Dems like David Axelrod say this 2016 all over again, where Jill Stein cost Hillary Clinton key swing states. Is that the feeling among most other Democrats?
I think it is, and the reason is pretty simple. If you look back to 2020, yes, President Biden won by 7 million votes plus in the popular vote, but in the Electoral College, it was extremely close. If just 3 states, Georgia, Wisconsin, Arizona, had gone the other way, the Electoral College would have been tied. In none of those states did Biden have more than a 1% margin. So look, is a third-party candidate going to win the presidency? Almost certainly not. But could a third-party candidate take 1%? Very easily. And that's where the fear lies for Democrats.
And Niall, I'm old enough to remember Ross Perot. I'm old enough to remember Ralph Nader. So this is not new. Mick, Biden's campaign donations are down, at least compared to former incumbents. 72 million sounds like a lot, but Democrats take that as a sign that voters want a different choice.
And they should. By the way, I'm old enough to remember John Anderson. I'm not old enough to remember Teddy Roosevelt. Yeah, the numbers are a little soft, Nick, for Biden. Keep in mind that $72 million number is him plus the DNC, which means that both the current president and the former president are both tracking behind where Barack Obama was in 2008 and where Donald Trump was in 2020. So, yeah, you take the soft money raising with Joe Biden and you add it to a respectable showing right now for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I don't think that RFK Jr. number, which goes between 15 and say 22%, is really him. I think it's folks who are saying, you know what, I just don't want to vote for Joe Biden anymore, and this is my placeholder until I find somebody else. So, yeah, I think there's a little bit of weakness. Look, there's a lot of weakness on a lot of different sides right now, but certainly the Biden team has got to be scratching their head as to what they can do a little bit better.
Mick, I just want to piggyback off of that. You talk about RFK Jr. Isn't it also the case that there weren't voters who were super excited about Biden in 2020, but they were just more or less disaffected with President Trump?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot more people voted against Donald Trump than voted for Joe Biden. They still pull the ticket for Biden, but it's the reasons they do so that are different. I don't think that's changed. I think enthusiasm for both of these leading candidates is very low. The reason No Labels is doing what they are doing is they have really solid data. I've worked with them a little bit. I know these folks. They have done really good work and have good solid data that, as same as you just saw, maybe 50% of the country would consider voting for a third party. That's a once-in-a-generation kind of number. Typically, third parties don't do well. Typically, they're just spoilers. Maybe this is different this type around.
And Niall, if half of voters say they would consider a third-party candidate if the frontrunners became the nominee, should the DNC rethink their unwavering support behind POTUS?
Well, I don't think that they should rethink that element of it. I mean, the job of the DNC is to win elections for Democratic nominees, just as the equivalent job pertains to the RNC and Republican nominees. I do take the point about there being that large figure purportedly willing to vote for a third-party candidate. But here's the important caveat I would note, Nick. That poll where you say, would you vote for a person unnamed gets a high result. Once that is a named person, would you vote for this person, Joe Biden and Donald Trump, and a named person? That figure automatically falls. Right now, it's a blank canvas onto which people can project whatever they wish.
But Mick, wouldn't that ease the fear of that third-party spoiler if voters already decided that this is who they want?
Well, look, I think the Democrats are afraid about No Labels being a spoiler if Joe Manchin is the top of the ticket, and that seems to be the way it's going right now. That obviously could change. If there was a Republican like Larry Hogan at the top of the ticket, Republicans might start worrying that it would pull votes from Donald Trump. But Niall's spot on correct, which is this doesn't really matter until there's a name attached to it. I don't think Joe Manchin is very compelling. I don't think Larry Hogan is very compelling. I know both these folks. I like them. But I don't think it's a politician that the country is looking for when they say they're considering to vote for somebody else. I think it's a celebrity. It's an Oprah Winfrey, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson kind of person. I know that gets a lot of smiles when I say that, but I think, if they're going to go third party, you need to go outside the system entirely and think about things in a new way, because that's what voters are really looking for.
Mick, you're going to sit there and just ignore Logan Paul?
No, I didn't say Taylor Swift, which is a name I heard over the weekend as well, which isn't as crazy as people might think.
I'm the problem. It's me. Niall, Mick, thank you so much. Guys, have a good day.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.